I always coach by using motivation through education. I try to educate my athletes as much as I can, not just about here's the muscles involved, but why it matters. That's my most important technique. How is this influencing their performance? If you can't tell an athlete like, hey, better arm action equals stronger leg drive because of this, if you can't get that point across, you're gonna have a difficult time getting performance out of your athletes. As you're working them out, you go and use some of those things. You know how your goal this year is to be a better basketball player and increase your vertical jump. Like this exercise right here is definitely going to influence that. I record all the different things that I do with athletes. I come up with my program ahead of time, what the athlete's workout is gonna be, and I review what we did previously because I want to make sure these guys are making advances in their training, whether it's weight training, making advances in their times, or making changes in their running form or their movement technique. So I'm going to go back and see what we did previously. You're never going to know if guys are making improvements if you're not keeping track of their personal records or keeping track of what they're doing in terms of workouts. So you have to know each athlete's personality a little bit. That's how you're going to know what's going to motivate them. And the most important thing in order to do that is communicate. Just don't sit there, count sets and reps. You got to communicate with them. Get to know them. As soon as they walk in the door, you're going to get a chance to know them and what they're like. And the more you learn about them, the better you're going to be able to motivate them and the better results they're going to have.
I start each session by first asking if anybody has any injuries or any incredible soreness that I need to know about that might affect their performance. And then I like to find out what the athlete has eaten in the last couple of hours to make sure that they're not going to train on an empty stomach. Those are the first two things that I do just to kind of get them talking. And then, I like to go around, give a little fist bump and call it good and get after it. I make sure that they understand what we're doing. I'm as forward with them as I can be and tell them what we do, why, whether it's going to feel good for them, whether it's going to really kind of beat them up a little bit. I just want them to understand what they're doing. I like to use things like anatomy charts, video when that applies, or pictures, just so that they understand what they're doing. So when I do ask them to do something that's somewhat challenging, they know that it's for a purpose and I'm not just having them run around. I have a pretty good idea of how I want people to feel when they leave that session, depending on what we do for programming, what drills, and how many sets and reps and all that. I know if I want them to leave really fatigued or if I want them walking out of there on kind of a high. In general, I want them walking out of there on a high and feeling good about what they did, but on certain days, they should be a little bit more fatigued. Certain days should be a little bit more about quality work. I like to always ask them something like, how many of your teammates are doing this right now? And they usually say, none of them. All right, how many of your competitors are training as hard as you are right now at this moment? They say, well, probably none of them. If that doesn't get them going, then nothing will.
Every time I come to work here at the Parisi Speed School, I think about how cool my job is. I feel very fortunate to be able to work in a facility like this with a franchise like the Parisi Speed School. The one thing I do is I try to find a way to connect with each athlete during downtime, whether it be during a rest or during transition through different drills. I kind of ask how their day was. I feel like if I do that, each athlete feels comfortable in my session. And a lot of times, new athletes will come in, they'll be mixed in with a group of other athletes that may have been around or been here for a few sessions, so they may feel a little bit intimidated. So I make them feel comfortable. I come over, introduce myself, I try to connect with them. I ask what their favorite sport is or what sports they play, maybe their favorite athlete. I even ask what their favorite food is. This to kind of make them feel comfortable, make them realize that I do care about this session. And I think it's easier for them to focus more and have more fun and at the same time learn. I really enjoy working with the athletes that are here. I feel like there's a good vibe and everyone really cares about everyone's well-being, and I really enjoy working here.